Welcome back to the Canadian Gun Vault Behind the Vault Door. My name is Mark Morelli. I'll be your podcast host. Joining me today, none other than living legend, my co-host, right? My partner in crime. No, that sounds misleading. Okay, none other than Coach Nick. Coach Nick, thank you for joining us.
Sitting at the kitchen table this time.
Kitchen table. If you hear some creaking in the background, it's probably me leaning on the table. My grandfather had a way of doing it.
And every time with the elbows.
Yep, with the elbows. And I can tell you, I never forgot. He sat at the table and he just watched. My grandfather loved to study human beings. You could tell. Everybody else would be like talking away, arguing over the latest thing. You know, the dinner table at my grandparents' house had no less than, 10 people at it at all times. Sometimes you'd squeeze in a few more. And I can tell you that, I saw some of the most entertaining conversations you could ever possibly imagine, growing up in the 70s. And, of course, I remember some of the conversations. And a lot of them revolved around politics, religion. You could tell by the level of fighting that was going on at the table that there was always some hot topic. Nobody
was ever angry. That's just the volume level.
Oh, it was the Morelli household. I saw a few people storm out unhappy over the years, but most times though you would be able to discuss it, talk it out, make your point. I loved watching debates growing up. I always found them fascinating.
It was interesting. Always with my uncles.
Yeah,
they would always be debating against each other, but over various topics.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather, though, would watch this ballet of a mixture of arguments and discussions. Hey,
I thought you were going to start talking about hands.
No, and I. They're knocking that place down, eh? They're going to make
the building's getting knocked down.
They're doing something to it. They're making it into
I don't
something.
hang out in that area.
If you live in the Hamilton area and you don't know what Hannerhan's
landmark
is, it's a landmark.
Not going to say why. But anybody who's familiar with it will know exactly why we're saying it's a landmark.
Anybody that knows that particular establishment, former establishment now, yeah.
Rite of passage, actually, for many a Hamilton male youth.
Unbelievably so. If you were one of the rich kids, you might leave town if you had a car.
Well, you head out to Berlin to go to Solid Gold.
Yeah, to go to the Gold. Or if you're a big spender, you go all the way to Niagara.
To
the Sundowner.
Because all roads lead to the Sundowner.
I remember the commercials.
We stole a stripper stool from the Sundowner.
Oh, my God.
When we were 19.
Oh, my God. That place, I swear to God. So there was this one particular gentlemen's club. And, of course, the girls were, for lack of a better term, strippers. Exotic dancers. Exotic dancers.
Let's try to make that sound that professional.
I have no problems with the exotic dancers.
I bet you don't.
No. Well, I mean, it's a job. It's a job like any other. When I say that, I must preface the comment by saying that I never really spent any time in strip clubs. Growing up, I went. I was forced to go at a few, bachelor parties.
Exactly. Yeah. There's an occasion.
At some point, though, in my mind, it made total sense that it was a waste of money, and that the drinks were awfully expensive.
And there's no surprises.
Yeah.
You kind of know what's going to happen. And what you're going to see. So I remember growing up, in a town with, it's a rough town, Hamilton. The North End. Parts of it, yeah.
Parts of it. When I say that, Hamilton, I consider Hamilton to be the most beautiful city in Ontario to me, and which would make people laugh because I'm sure as you're driving by on the highway, all you see is industry.
You see the stacks.
And you see things floating in the bay. You're looking for that body that might get spotted.
It's not Detroit, okay?
Okay, but you know what? I remember growing up. We had family in Detroit. There was a sister city to Hamilton, so we would go over there, and my parents would say, "We don't drive down those streets.
Yeah.
Don't stop to ask him for directions. No.
Yeah.
It could be quite scary, sometimes going into the United States. But if you've ever been to Hamilton, it's a nice town. Certainly there's a booming
personality, that's for sure.
It definitely does. It has a really gritty, colorful, I used to describe it, population. And you've got some of the roughest people you've ever met mixing with some of the most, upper crust. You get those people that wander in from Ancaster.
It's a mistake.
They realize very quickly.
Or they're very forced that because whatever they need is only available in that one spot.
They're not that hoity-toity. It's not like they're Oakville or anything like that.
Not far off.
Oh yeah, that's.
I taught in Oakville for a year, so I have the experience. Well, and then I transferred out. So
what's it like teaching? Ancaster
in Oakville?
Oakville.
I was in a school that was 1 year new.
Yeah,
and the window of my room overlooked the front of the school entrance.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching there one day and see the Ferrari go by.
Yeah.
Hang on, kids. And I go and look.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah. So at that point in time, and this is 14 years ago, the homes, because it was a new community as well, the homes averaged between 500 and 750 then.
Those would have been really, really monstrous houses too.
So, but it was a school where the principal, thank God she's retired now, was just an absolute bitch.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like she was a terrible administrator, and the parents ran the school.
Really? Oh, that's not good.
So very high achieving, overachieving type, right? And didn't respect you for your position, for your job. I would get knocks on my door. I remember one time I got a knock on my door during a lesson, and it's a parent calling me out in the hall. I'm like, I'm teaching. I didn't get in, I didn't get any notification from the office.
Yeah.
So I ignored it because I'm teaching. I'm not interrupting my class. If it's important, I would know. Yeah. This person just walked in, didn't go to the office, didn't notify anybody.
Yeah.
Just walked in and came right up to the classroom because they're kids in my class.
He's messing with your rhythm.
What's that? What?
He's messing with your rhythm. She. Oh, okay.
So
see, I just assumed it was he.
Yeah. And so later in the day, the principal calls me to the office. Why didn't you? I'm like, I was in the middle of a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't care. I was in the middle of a lesson. Like, if it's that important, I'll know that there's an emergency, whatever. Right?
You're like kindergarten cop. That's the way. That's the way I imagine you. I will come to the door when I'm good and ready.
Mind you, the Christmas gifts are fantastic.
Really? There's got to be.
That sounds very superficial but I didn't mean it to. But it was like there were some parents that were very nice and but the majority, more so, unfortunately, were basically because they have money and all this kind of thing. And the principal wanted no part in saying no to these people.
No.
So 1 year, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh, really? You didn't fare well?
No, I decided to change schools.
Oh yeah, you got out of there.
It was my choice.
Oh, good.
So I decided to book it back to...
I thought maybe you got caught making a kid do push-ups or something.
No, I know. Making a kid work. Oh, no. Better put you in front of the tribunal. Little Johnny has to burn a few brain cells.
Oh, my God. Well,
but yeah, it's like I don't want any part of that. You want to be... Somebody else wants to work in a she community like that and whatever, fine. Not me. I was, that's not good for Hamilton people.
Well, you know what? I want to, as much as I love talking about Hamilton, which honestly, and I'm being sincere, I actually truly do love that city. I want to bring it back to my grandfather at the dinner table. Family dinner table, you got to imagine like 12, 14 people. My grandmother, she makes pies like 7 at a time.
Oh yeah, with a whole bunch of food on the table. That is pigeon, but you're told it's chicken.
Oh yeah, you know what? You never,
Crow.
Well, that was the other side of my
everything's
family.
Chicken.
That was the other side of my family. I had grandparents that were like my grandfather on my mother's side was like a mountain man. Right, he was from.
Did he have a big beard?
I never knew my grandfather to have facial hair, but he was from the mountains, and so he like snared rabbits and
with his hands
and hunted. Oh yeah, and he used to tell me stories about how they would, how they survived the Depression, and he said that we hunted. That was what we did. We went and actually hunted for our food.
Yeah,
and I remember even as a child respecting that. And realizing that if times were tough, my grandfather,
like total alpha male.
I'd go out and kill something to eat. Yeah. You know, like
you got to survive, so you do what you got to do.
Yeah, like if you can imagine a world where you know, not only can you not drive somewhere to pay for.
Now all the beta males out there, just relax.
Yeah,
we're not banging on you. Go get some soy milk and you'll be fine.
You know what? I will. You know what? If you don't know how to pull a fish out of a river or bring down a deer without an AR-15.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you don't.
Damn. How are we gonna get that deer now with no AR?
An AR-15. To take down a deer.
Gee, don't, because that reminds me of that clown that's on TV.
Oh my God. The lies that spill out.
Refocus.
Unbelievable. No, I'll get back to my grandfather. Well, not all roads lead to Rome, as he would say, because we're going to talk about my grandfather watching and observing people around the dinner table as they have wonderful conversation and or debates. Love a coffee. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to...
You want that? You want the coffee before you finish that?
Yeah, I'll take that. Absolutely. Coach Nick has been kind. Thank you. Coach Nick has been kind enough to provide me with dinner tonight. You know what? I showed up. We're not, really maintaining grand social distancing as he hands me a plate, with a piece of chicken on it, and I haven't had Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I haven't. When we talked earlier today, I told you I was out running errands, and I've been craving fried chicken for like 2 weeks. I don't know why, just craving the hell out of it. So I'm driving by. There's a KFC not far from here.
Yeah,
and I'm like, damn it, I'm in.
You just jumped on.
And this is like 3 o'clock. I'm like, I got to do it. So I went through the drive-through, got a box of fries and a small mini half bucket, and damn, it tasted good.
Well, I'll tell you something.
Cholesterol. I can feel the cholesterol points rise as we speak.
I'll tell you, I have not had Kentucky Fried Chicken in so long, and I mean now is the last time I should ever have it. Corona has managed to put 10 or 15 pounds around my waist that I can't stand, and it's totally my fault. If you spend a lot of time at your home, you make a lot of trips to the fridge. You guys out there, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure there's some ladies out there that wish they weren't home so much. There definitely is grand opportunity to raid the fridge when you're working at home. And truthfully, the onus falls on everybody to get out there and get themselves active. But I'm sitting here and I've already eaten one piece, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid to get into the second one because I haven't had Kentucky Fried Chicken in so long. I don't even know what it's going to do to me.
It's not moving.
No. I realize that, but honestly, it's deep fried chicken, and I've been living clean so long with grilled chickens and trying to go with salads and trying to stay on top of my health.
Some avocado on toast.
You know what? No. Listen, dude, I am super jacked. I loved it. I've eaten one piece. I'm not. No. Are you kidding me? I'm pacing myself. I just don't want to put it all down at once. I want to see.
You're gonna have to rush, get out the paddles and put your chest.
Listen, there are so many kids out there that right now that have no idea what we're talking about, but when you cruise on over 40 years of age, enjoy eating everything you want now.
And I'm really not. There's nobody urinating. There's coffee being made in the background.
Right. You know what? So Coach Nick has been kind enough to make me a coffee. He's fed me with some Kentucky Fried Chicken, some good old fashioned KFC, and I am honestly, it was so good. It was so good, buddy. Man, I really am struggling to not get into the second one. You saw me start picking at it already. I haven't had this in so long, but I'm loving it. You know what? Not since I was a kid, really, when you think about it. That was when we had KFC. It was like a treat. 1 sugar, 1 milk, please. And thank you, sir. So, I came over to Coach Nick's because I started my day treated to a video of a Tucker Carlson. Yeah, Coach Nick, I want you to come back here for this one. So, you got to know, folks, I appreciate everybody that sends in the news to us. We got to vet things. Some things are a little bit easier to do than others. Thank you, sir. And I can tell you that for everybody that sends in, content and material for us to, go through, we really appreciate it. It's a huge help. I'm sure there's people that think I have an entire team, and I do. It's the community of the Canadian Gun Vault. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. If you haven't heard by now, Trump's been issuing some pretty stern orders to the social media groups and the tech biggies, clean up your act or else. Social media has been restricting right
related content, it would seem conservative content is being restricted on the internet. And I could certainly attest to it. I watched, a lot of things change over the last year or so. I think it's fantastic that we've been stalled at the same number, which is like mathematically impossible, to hit a certain number like in the 70s and not continue to grow when people are finding out about you every day, which is really kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there not from day one, but from relatively early on, and like the growth was 1,100 a month.
Oh yeah, it was
for like 2.5 years.
Oh yeah, it was going crazy for a while,
and then it's like it was stuck at like 64 or 65 or something like that. Then it bumped, and then it's been at, I guess, within 1,000 followers of 70,000, 71,000 for about a year.
Oh yeah, we had to struggle to get into the 70s.
Yeah,
and then I could tell you we had a massive rush of traffic when they made the announcements relating to the bans. But watching over the years, the hurdles, in terms of the algorithm, and jumping around. Anybody out there who's ever been censored, shadow banned, even I could tell you that they play their tricks. We play ours.
See, the thing that I don't understand is the people that are left, liberal, Democrat, are getting all pissed off at is, there he is at it again, trying to tip the scales in his favor. It's like, well, hang on a sec here. There's nothing wrong with. First of all, the most major change was... Oh, here goes the second piece. The most major change was removing the shield from litigation. So before that, the social media companies were immune to lawsuits. So, which I don't understand why they would be. Maybe because they received that initially because their intent... And for the longest time at the beginning of their existences, things were relatively, I don't want to say like the Wild West, but you had a balance of left and right, and there was a lot of content on there that wasn't slighted most ways, or where there was no manipulation involved. Then the manipulation started. So if people are going to complain about that a giant corporation that maybe supports views that they do is now open to litigation if they don't do things fairly, if they're think about that for a second. Someone's pissed off because a company can maybe be sued now for not balancing the scales. I can't process how that makes sense to anybody, or how anybody would have an issue with that. Wow. Unless, of course, that would bring the balance back to even. So therefore, there's not as much emphasis on issues, topics, agendas that they support or believe in.
Even in fair has nothing to do with it. It would appear as though the left are willing to cheat and do whatever they need to, no matter how shady looking, to get where they need to go. The canceling of the Parliament sessions and reducing it to committee and eliminating the need for the House. Like, do you see what's going on with that? Apparently, the NDP and the Green Party propped up a motion put forward by the Liberals to shut down Parliament.
Yeah,
for
4 months.
Well, they spend whatever they want, and they're going to have these committees, which they're going to shut down the minute they get hot if something goes wrong.
That's the thing. I don't understand how people can feel this is okay.
It's not. It's completely, it is the total opposite of the democratic process. Right now, with everything in shambles out there in the world, with the United States and their Minneapolis situation expanding to, LA and big cities like New York, it's really surprising. What do you got there?
A friend of ours had just mentioning about a package he had. He ordered, received notification that was delivered,
Yeah.
did not receive the package,
Oh, yeah.
saw the delivery truck on his street in front of 2 homes, knows both families at those homes,
Yeah.
still hasn't got any package, has helped both those families out, contacted the delivery service, and they can't give him the name or the address because of privacy issues, even though they dicked up.
Oh, wow. Well, that's not good.
So, yeah, I thought that was kind of
Well,
fortunate. Hopefully it works out for them. Maybe they're just having dinner. They're going to bring it over afterwards. Who knows?
who knows?
Anyway.
Well, and you know what? I want to talk about Tucker Carlson's interview. Did you that?
Anybody who follows him, go to Tucker Carlson's Instagram page, and it was in the last 24, 48 hours, I believe.
You just hold it like that. Try not to move too much. There you go.
Holy jeez.
Yeah, you know, a little bit.
Get me a headset.
It wouldn't. Yeah. Do you want this one?
No. Give me a headset with a microphone.
Oh, okay.
So then I can go totally hands free.
All right. You know what? It's important that we talk about this. This Tucker Carlson interview was like first thing this morning. It woke me up. Like it was what did that person just say?
And I was watching it over morning. Thank God I had a few sips of caffeine in me. The phone might have been launched through the window. Like, anyway, so if you haven't seen it yet, go to Tucker Carlson's Instagram page the last 24, 48 hours, and he's interviewing a female who is, from what I gather, a member of the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm trying to remember the initial question he posed, and I can't. But essentially, it revolves around there was some kind of meeting or gathering that she was organized or going to be part of, and there was blatant stipulation that white people are not allowed. And she made no bones about it, coming out and saying, "You're not even like." So first of all, I'm thinking like, okay, hang on a second here. And number two, she goes on to even elaborate further that even if there are people there that are not black that want to support what they are doing, they are not welcome.
You know what? I
so again, like we've talked about, those of you who have pets and have dogs and you talk to them and their head goes sideways. I was doing that for about 10 minutes this morning, trying to figure out the rationale coming out of this lady's mouth. I understand where the focus should be and where the focus is.
Black Lives Matter group.
Yeah. You know what? Hold on. I just called it up.
Anyone who was not black from attending.
Here we go.
This is what they said. Being intentional about being around black people is an act of resistance. This is an exclusively black space. So if you do not identify as black and want to come because you love black people, please respect the space and do not come. Lisa Durden is a political commentator and Black Lives Matter supporter. She joins us tonight. Lisa, thanks for coming.
I'm gonna get mad now.
Again, you're doing well.
It starts off.
I was confused by this because I thought the whole
30 seconds.
point of Black Lives Matter, one of the points would be to speak out against singling people out on the basis of their race and punishing them for that. Because you can't control what your race is, and yet they seem to be doing that. Explain that to me.
What I say to that is boo-hoo-hoo. You
Great
white
attitude.
people are angry because you couldn't use your white privilege card
Whoa,
to get invited
Lisa.
to the Black Lives Matters All Black Memorial Day celebration. Wow. Let me contextualize that for you. Memorial Day was created
I don't want
by...
you to wait.
Memorial Day was
First of all, I
created...
don't want you to contextualize.
Oh, I need to contextualize it because Memorial Day was created by
hold on.
black
You're
former
attacking
slaves in
people on the basis of their race.
1865
Okay.
to honor those individuals who were Union soldiers who fought and died for our freedom. So Black Lives Matter, in that same vein, decided to get together with black folks.
I'm not going to let you filibuster past my
to
question.
make sure that black folks are celebrated for being murdered
I don't want
by
to shut this
racist
down. I
terrorists.
don't want to shut this
If you're
down,
mad
but I
at
will.
that,
Okay.
you just...
I'm not mad at that. I just have a really simple question for you. If you don't like people...
Okay. Well, you know what? I honestly...
I'm flabbergasted right now.
You know, it's not over. I still have more of that interview we can show, but I guess broadcast. Honestly, like listening to someone try and rationalize, like excluding a group specifically based on the color of their skins, when your entire movement
that's the very definition of racism.
It's the definition of racism. Your entire movement revolves around, fighting this. It's like, hold on, you think that it's a good idea to do exactly the thing that you don't want done to you to somebody else, like exclusion based on race, like white people not welcome, like what? Whoa.
Which is the opposite of the tolerant left.
Yeah, it's incredible to actually hear somebody say that and not recognize how wrong they are.
But if you or I were to say that,
you kidding me? We
would get charged.
Wouldn't be able to leave the room alive. I think that's pretty interesting. Of course, Tucker, he manages it okay.
He does, but he had the look on his face for the first minute and a half is priceless.
Oh, he was like, whoa.
He has no idea. Like, he's trying to compute what's coming out of this lady's face, and he's kind of like, am I really listening to this right now?
Oh, she went from like 0 to 60 and nothing flat.
Good God.
Honestly, she went megaton in like, I don't know, 10 seconds? Hi, Tucker. Good to see you again.
Oh, yeah. And then that was it. Then it all downhill.
And then, wow. She really took off, eh?
I wonder how the Hodge twins would view that. Ooh. If they're going to do a video on it, because I like those guys.
If you find that video, I would love to see that one.
Which one though?
That no, the one that addresses this issue, because that they'll talk about this. This is a great one. I don't
know if they've commented on this video specifically, but they comment on similar topics.
They do.
Often.
That's why we should send them this and say, look, you got to do this.
But they're good though. The funny thing is they're just blunt as hell, and they're kind of like, you're being stupid.
What do they? What's with the Hodge twins?
Hodge twins.
The Hodge twins.
HODGE. Official. I think it's called official Hodge twins.
Yeah.
And pair of twin brothers. And typically, though, I think they used to be, or they were comedians at one point.
I think they still are.
Oh yeah. But they've got a great Instagram following, and they're which revolves quite a lot around political topics.
Oh yeah, they've got great commentary on all kinds of things.
But they're not politically correct.
They're not. Oh yeah,
they just come out and say it. If they think the person's a dumbass, they're going to come out and say they're stupid or a dumbass or whatever it is.
You know what? Their delivery is. I find it's very unique. Like watching
it's candid and frank.
It's very candid and frank, but because it's the two of them and they're identical twins, two good-looking men.
Great shoulders, eh?
Great shoulders.
Christ.
Right? Great shoulders. And, they got a great sense of humor as they touch these issues, almost with a comical, angry edge.
Yeah.
Which is...
They kind of fade in and out of
Yeah, what?
Anger and comedy.
Right, yeah.
They really play off each other.
One of them sits up a little bit closer, I notice sometimes, and he gets the most... expression, like what? Whoa, you telling me? Oh yeah, I love watching those guys. They're a lot of fun. Watching this video was one half entertainment, one half disbelief. The Tucker video just blew me away.
Yeah, I'm still even listening to it again. I'm like, I can't believe that. Like that's all. If you weren't able to look at the video, but you just listened to the person talking, didn't know that it was someone that is affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
You might be thinking that they're some kind of Nazi organization or the KKK or just something that because you take her words and you give and write a script and give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And repeat what, and it'll be World War III.
Well, I can tell you, I'm very disappointed to believe that anybody in a position of influence would have such strong opinions about exclusion. I don't care what color they are. I grew up as an Italian in the 70s. I was raised with a little bit of racism, but I can tell you right now, I was always taught to treat everyone with respect, and skin color does not matter. And to see this woman standing on a platform and saying that, we've decided that we're having our own day and white people are not invited.
Specifically, didn't say anything about excluding anybody else.
Well, you know what? There definitely is a very divisive nature to it. It's certainly a tactic.
It is divisive, kind of the exact opposite of.
Yeah.
You know, you would think there would be inclusion. If somebody wants to support you, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what their background is. It shouldn't matter what their last name is. Shouldn't matter what their skin tone is. Shouldn't matter where they're from. Yeah. If they want to legitimately support you, regardless of, well, I shouldn't say regardless of your cause, but for when it's a good positive cause, who cares? Yeah. Accept the support, because one day they might need your support. That's where the one hand washes the other comes in.
Yeah. Well, it's really sad, you know, to see anyone spewing, you know, that kind of content. But again, if you haven't seen it yet, I would.
I got to make a coffee now.
Right. Are you going to make one too? Good.
Oh, yeah.
No. The BLM official, Lisa Durden, is her name.
So she's an official of the whole movement.
Black. Well, she's a Black Lives Matter official. So she is officially affiliated with the group. So at least according to this on Tucker. So I'm going to assume that his fact checking has been done correctly.
Yeah.
Right. Fact checking becoming a bit of an issue.
Kinda. I understand Obama had a fact check that it was incorrect. Somebody that was
really?
Well, he posted something and Twitter didn't, of course, mistakenly didn't flag it.
Yeah.
Somebody actually fact checked it.
Yeah.
And sent it to Twitter, and it had to be changed because. It's something that should have been. It was use of the word thugs.
Oh, really?
Because everybody's freaking out now because, of course, President Trump used the words thugs to describe the people of all ethnicities that are rioting in various cities in the States.
Oh, yeah.
So he's, of course, being labeled a racist for it because he used that. But a few years ago, there's a clip floating around Obama using thugs in a very similar, if not same type of situation. Crickets.
Well, of course. I mean, the left can do no wrong. It's always Harper's fault, if you ask anybody.
Well, they're going to start
in the Liberal Party.
To Mackenzie King pretty soon.
Let's just go back to what the Harpers did. Everything that came before us. That's why this is all happening. I'm frightened by what I see from Canadian politics these days. We've got a runaway party. There doesn't seem to be any stopping them. They're doing what they want when they want. If they don't feel like working, they're not going to go to work. They've been propped up by the NDP and the Green Party to make sure that doesn't happen. Everybody's getting an extended holiday. Justin has grown accustomed to only coming out of the cuckoo clock once a day.
Yeah. So all those MPs that are getting paid huge cake are sitting at home. They're still getting paychecks. Oh, yeah. While thousands across the country have lost their jobs, they're still getting a paycheck for doing minimal work.
Yeah, you know what? But hey, I want to talk about this before we go too much farther. I don't want to forget about this. So the CCFR has filed. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. I watched it.
So we've got some great news. The CCFR has filed their charter challenge and their lawsuit.
50-page document.
50-page document. Well, we got a lot to gripe about.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there was no space wasted when you think about the number of times the legal Canadian firearm community has borne the brunt of Liberal decision making as it relates to new legislation. Unbelievable. To deal with crime, you're going to punish the best people in the country. That's what it boils down to, folks. The idea that, their effort to solve crime is not to deal with the crime that's happening and not to take those guns off the street, the ones that are being used in crimes, the ones that are illegal, the ones that have been smuggled over the border illegally. They certainly don't include bazookas, rocket launchers, and tow missiles.
So all of you out there with those in your gun safes, you better turn those in.
Listening to the list be read out to me when I first got wind of it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. So, I actually saw a tow missile in action on a video recently.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to imagine a world where gang members in downtown Toronto are maybe going to splurge and get themselves a $175,000 rocket.
When was the last time, outside perhaps the Medellin cartel in Mexico, you've heard someone using a tow missile.
Honestly.
But thank God they're banned.
But they're banned.
We're so much safer now.
The liberals have done it again.
Those tow missile attacks on the convenience stores.
God damn, they're genius. They prevented a lot of deaths with the...
Thank you, Bill Blair.
Thank you. Unbelievable. So, but didn't you know 8 out of 10 Canadians actually wants some form of increased gun control
10
restrictions,
and it was downtown Toronto that they asked.
So they conduct this little study, all right, with like somewhere upwards of 1,600.
That's it.
Surveyed. That was it. And I'm willing to bet that they didn't wander into any more conservative portions of the city that they went to get those opinions. So the 8 out of 10 Canadians.
So the first 12 people the 8 out of 10. So the first 10 people that they asked were probably the Doctors Against Guns.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. We've got 10.
And then they went up to the Danforth probably and surveyed people. Mm-hmm. And then maybe they went over to Montreal and decided to send certain specific votes to the people from École Polytechnique.
Yeah,
I'm sure there was no bias in that.
Yep.
That's my point, right? I'm sure there was absolutely no bias in that survey.
Well, you know what? All the 8 out of 10 tells me is that there's 20 people in there that didn't buy it. All right, there's 20%. Even amongst those left-leaning people.
And those are 20% that the 2.5 million gun owners in this country will welcome with open arms.
Absolutely.
If you're not already a member.
Yeah. You know what? We know you're out there. All you left-wingers, right? You liberals. That
you closet gun bikers.
Yep. You know who you are. I bet you. I know you exist. It's really fun when you meet a person from the left shooting on the firing line, and I mean that you can make that to sound bad if you want, but like it's funny. Like the people they think differently. Like I mean, when you look at conservative views versus some liberal views, I can tell you that true liberal views compared to true conservative views tend to have some gray area in the middle. They can
there always is.
Absolutely. I keep laughing and telling people I'm a liberal. I swear to God, I'm probably the most liberal guy in the house, in the firearm community in many ways. I really do believe in all the things that you do. And I think that it's important that, people understand that today's liberal is like not a liberal at all. Like today's liberal is much, much further left.
And today's conservative is closer to the middle.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. There aren't any conservative members out there that are going to try.
But the funny thing is the liberal won't admit that they're further left than they used to be.
Yeah, they're not making any room for us. In the middle. Yeah, we're going to have to take back that space.
Peter McKay,
hi, absolutely. I really do believe that he's definitely our guy. The more I hear he raised quite a bit of money. There's a number of people that made their donations to his camp, and that's usually a good indication of support. He's done quite well in that area. He's definitely my top pick. I mean, I believe.
Well, we talked about that last.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to some of the other candidates one-on-one and get their take on things. But right now, I'm really liking Peter McKay, and I mean, a lot of people, they'll ding me right off that. Oh, Red Tory. He voted for gun control. Like they say all these things that they've been fed. But the truth is now that it's been explained, the guy doesn't dislike guns at all. If anything, he made a comment, a very long time ago, 20 years ago, he made a comment that people mistook for meaning that he, was in
and
favor
I think it was with respect to fully automatic firearms.
Yeah. You know what? He said, they were talking about fully automatic guns. Yeah, okay, fully automatic guns should be illegal. And yes, there should be some registry for handguns. And he agreed with those things. So
let's not pick and choose what part of a conversation that was had. It was a 20-year-old conversation, fine.
Yeah.
He didn't, and like you say, people have been posting and commenting with only one sentence out of that conversation, right? Yeah. He was in support of banning all guns. I personally don't have a problem with registering my restricteds either.
No,
I really don't. I mean, I've only been in it for 8-9 years, and that's all I've known. So I don't know. I haven't had the opportunity to go from one side of the coin to the other. But I think in our society, I think that's at this point that's fair to register our restricteds and our long guns, our hunting guns, shotguns, whatever.
Oh, they're right now. There's an American standing on a high chair somewhere,
I know, but
screaming
they don't get
at you.
I know.
Screaming at you, saying,
"Get off the chair!
How dare
Get
you?
off the chair! Settle down!"
You know what? How dare you? Registry leads to confiscation. Haven't you learned that shit yet? How dumb are you?
No, because it's got nothing to do with registry leads to confiscation. It's got everything to do with the way our political system operates.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because we don't have unalienable rights like they do in the States, which is one thing Rod Giltaka talked about in his video today or yesterday, whatever it was, which I think is an outstanding point that he made, and what it means by inalienable when we talk about the United States. Specifically, that refers to your rights can't be taken from you at the whim of a government. Which is exactly what's happening to us right now in Canada.
See, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are going,
So in 17, and
that's why they did it.
They have entrenched property rights. Yeah. So in 1776, those guys were pretty bright. They had great forethought and were able to envision. And these were the leaders of the country at the time. Don't forget. So they wrote into their legislation. Forget the free speech. We all know that. But the key to this whole thing right now is we do not have an unalienable rights in Canada.
Nope.
We don't have that.
Nope.
We have no protection from the government deciding to change anything that they want on a whim, whenever they want, however they want, like an order in council. We don't have anything like that protecting us. So why it's a 50-page document from the CCFR is because they're and I can't remember the sections. They're specifically addressing sections of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that speak to rights and property rights and everything else. So, which I think is fantastic. I think that is going to be the big ticket item when it hits the courts. Is it's not about the gun and their lawyers, I'm sure, will present their case in terms of a gun is an inanimate object. We don't have rights to own that. We don't have the protection from the government just deciding to change things whenever they want. Maybe this whole gun thing, maybe it serves to highlight the fact that maybe we should. Not because we want to be more American, because it's got nothing to do with that, but because our rights should be. We have nothing protecting us. Our rights right now.
I think people will get
our property.
I think people will get confused if, I love the idea of let's forget it's guns for a second, because I think that's really the one.
But then they always say, but it is about the gun.
No,
it's not.
But hold on. Well, that's what I was going to get to.
I'm drinking from the assault mug. That's why I'm fired up.
You know what? I see that you got the assault mug going on. Well, no. You know what? I'll tell you, I woke up today. I was so tired. I got up this morning and I put salt in my coffee by accident. All right, I made pancakes the other day, so I switched the salt and the sugar containers and their order on the shelf.
Sitting around a 5-foot-high hookah last night.
You know what? No. I was just really tired, and I got up, and I was woken up from a dead sleep. So I was in that kind of like that zone where you're not quite wide awake yet. And I made my way down the stairs, and I made myself a coffee, and I realized that I had switched the jars. And of course, I put salt in mine. That was the way my day started. But right, yeah, no.
Salt.
Can you believe that?
Yes, I can actually.
Actually, you know what? After this Kentucky Fried Chicken and the salt that I've had, I'm going to be drinking water for the next 2 days to try and pass this.
You better just head right over to Starbucks and get yourself an extra gigantic soy milk.
Oh God, no, no, I won't ever. No soy milk. All right, I can't stand the thought.
How about almond milk?
Almond milk. You know what?
With a hint of vanilla.
you know what? I'm lactose intolerant. I'll go black. Right, absolutely. I'll put black and sugar. You know what? You wouldn't believe the coffee that I drank over the years coming from a police station.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right?
It's about as good as a coffee in a gun shop or a shooting range.
No, they all cheat now. They got those little Keurig machines. I can tell you, to go into the police station, in East End, Hamilton, on a night shift, to think that there might be a pot of coffee. Like, I mean, you might have to use a sock, to strain the coffee beans. But like, I mean, it was god awful. I did enjoy a coffee out on the road. Before the end of my career, people were getting into McDonald's. They really seem to like McDonald's.
It is. It's good coffee.
It's good coffee.
It is solid coffee.
Yeah. You know what?
No question about it. It's good.
Always fresh. My secret was going to 7-Eleven.
Would you get? Would you get what are those things called? Those things that were in the little case that were there for 3 days. Under the heat lamp.
No.
A churro?
No. Oh, the
chimichanga.
No. What do they call them?
Like a little tube thing. Chalupa.
Chalupa? Is that what they were called?
Would you get a coffee and a chalupa?
Jalapeno and cream cheese chalupa. I want my chalupas. Oh my God, I never told you that story. Remind me to tell you one day about Vlora, and I want the chimichangas, and I want at like 3:00 in the morning. She wanted to go for 7-Eleven.
So right? 7-Eleven?
7-Eleven. She had that.
Okay, we'll talk around the campfire sometime.
Taquitos. That's it. Taquitos. Yeah, that was what it called. Jeez, I just had a flashback to that evening. It was so awful. But okay, so I want to come back to the CCFR and their lawsuit. So the CCFR has now finally officially filed. They're willing to take donations. They've got themselves set up for complete transparency. This is going to be a good legal battle.
But you can also donate by becoming a member as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You don't. You can. If you're already a member, you can give cash. You can give cash. But if you're not a member, it sounded like Rod was considering that a contribution
Absolutely.
As well as signing up. Right?
I can tell you right now, Rod handled a very delicate situation. I mean, these are tough times for some people, and some more than others. And I could tell you that we've definitely got our challenges ahead of us. I could tell you that the Gataka CCFR legal team is supposed to be absolutely fantastic. Solomon Freeman is a magical lawyer, and so he's not kidding when he says he has the best on it. I'm really excited about where this may take us ultimately.
But the funny thing is and after we win this lawsuit, people are going to realize that it wasn't about guns; it was about rights for Canadians.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you listen to today's podcast, and even those people from the left who have nothing to do with this and will never have heard Rod's podcast or Rod's video or any of our podcasts, they will understand that they will potentially gain rights and protections because of this, based on gun owners fighting for the rights of all Canadians. Yeah. Because that's what it boils down to.
Yep.
It's not. They're not going to court. They're not going to court for rights only for gun owners, and privileges only for gun owners. They're going to court because of a flaw that they see in our political documents, and that will benefit all Canadians. So that's something that needs to be spread around, because I don't think that didn't come across as a very pronounced and obvious message in Rod's video, but it needs to be, and it needs to be part of conversations that people have who don't understand, and it needs to be part of, like, from an educational standpoint, it needs to be part of conversations with people who are saying, you don't need a gun, you should never own a gun. Well, this is what they're doing. This is how it will benefit you. It needs to be part of those conversations. Yeah. Absolutely, because everybody will benefit from this.
Oh, you know what? No doubt in my mind. I think if Canada knew what was on the line, potentially, they would speak up louder. And I can tell you right now that the legal firearm community in Canada is embarking on a journey to fight for your rights. I mean, all Canadians. It's absolutely true. If the government can arbitrarily and with no evidence to support it, take legally owned property away from the best Canadians in the country, what hope do the rest have?
But it's and there's no check and balance against them doing it with anything else. That's, I think, going to be one of the highlights of this lawsuit. Is you can't just on a whim. Yeah. There has to be something. There still has to be a check and balance in there.
Absolutely. Our entire system has been successful up until now based on the checks and balances system of our government. It appears that the machine is broken. Right now, I can tell you that it's become abundantly clear that the Liberal Party is taking off and running away with its own game. I don't think that we're going to see any end to the debt.
And this, but the thing is, though, is the system might be broken, but it could be broken for a conservative government. It could be broken for an NDP government. It could be broken for whatever government. And they could do. Listen, we're not just saying that the Liberal government is the only ones capable of doing this. These loopholes need to be closed to protect everybody, regardless of who's in power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of who's in power, right? That's something that needs to be highlighted as well. Who
knows how long it'll be before we see our next version of the Liberal Party leading this government. I think that it's absolutely of paramount importance that we enshrine property rights in the charter. And I think that that's something that's going to come to light very shortly. And I'm glad that it's being addressed. I love that the CCFR is leading the charge. I love that the other lobby groups, CSA, CSAAA, Tony Bernardo, the NFA, all seem to be on the same page. And I'm loving the idea of our firearm community getting kind of revved up.
We need to get pissed off.
OFA jumped in there. The Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters usually have remained pretty silent until now. And you know what? For everybody out there that thinks there's some hard feelings, we could use all the help we can get.
It benefits everyone. There's no hard feelings.
It's great to see you guys.
Benefit everybody.
Yep, it's great to see you guys out. Welcome to the party.
Like better late than never, though.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah.
It's I love that one I read today. That was a great one. Who was it? Was it Tango Mike? I didn't
see a lot of social media today.
If you've never seen Tango Mike 72, he's awesome. He's got some really funny stuff. But no, I was thinking about one that I saw today. I'm just going to look it up really quickly, and it's the one. It's the one. Oh boy, it'll take me a while to find it now. It's the one where it's like welcome to the Thunderdome. Right? Did you see that?
I'm going to have a look. Where is it?
I'm looking through here right now. I can't remember where it is.
No,
you know what?
I don't think I did.
You know what? I'll dig it up at some point here. I think actually it's right here. Hold on. No. I am just tapping through. No. I'll get it later.
We'll find it.
Yeah, we'll find it. I can tell you right now, I'm absolutely floored at some of the things I've been seeing lately in the news. Minneapolis. Let's talk about Minneapolis.
Yeah.
What a fucking nightmare. I'm sorry for everybody out there. I didn't give you a fair warning on the F-bomb drop, but I mean, what a disaster.
Holy, yeah. Like I have a little on my phone. I have a scanner app.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to the whatever police department that is, broadcast live for the past couple nights, and it's freaking anarchy. Like it's just, and there's 30,000 people listening to this one station. It is freaking nuts.
I could just eat the skin off this chicken.
Oh, I know.
But you know what? Minneapolis, though, for people that didn't know what had happened or the event that kick-started the riots that you may be hearing about in the news now, there was a death, and it involved a young man and his police contact. And I won't downplay it. The videos I've seen are very damning to the officer involved. If in fact he's an officer, I mean, like he's in a police uniform, but he's not acting like a cop. Because I can tell you right now, to put your knee across somebody's neck and
back of their neck.
No, it was on the side. It was on the side. I can tell you is an absolutely horrible thing to do. There are moments in police officers' career where you are literally fighting for your life, in which case, anything goes, and that's the rule. If somebody's trying to kill you.
However, when you're handcuffed and on the ground, and you have control of that person.
However, I will tell you that most, if not all, departmental policies include, once you're in handcuffs and you're under arrest, you're definitely the responsibility of the arresting officers.
Yep.
And if you should die for whatever reason, even if it's of natural causes, there should be a full-blown investigation. And believe me, I've seen officers show up at locations and somebody's hurt themselves inside, and it still becomes an SIU investigation. So I can tell you that immediately, upon making direct contact with the police, every officer assumes a certain degree of responsibility.
For sure.
But once you're in handcuffs, and I see this officer's, his knee across this man's neck. And you know what? And I don't care whether you're black or white. It makes no difference to me. And everybody out there that's bitching and moaning right now that I haven't referred to him as black yet, I can tell you that it wouldn't matter. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are.
Yeah, you don't treat, if you're a cop, you don't treat the person differently based on who they are. Is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that when I see this,
it's based on their behavior.
When I see this man on the ground and he's expressing, that he's not in a good way, and see that officer's knee, right across his neck, and I know that that's a bad place to put your knee. And
kind of a major artery that's right there.
If you haven't figured it out by now, rookies, you don't put your knee on people's neck. Now, he didn't look like a spring chicken. The gentleman in the photo who, is seen most often is at the rear of the police cruiser with a view of what's going on, partially obstructed. You could see the deceased's head and this officer's knee right across the side of his neck, which is a horrible place to put your knee, and certainly it would come with massive risk, for everybody involved as far as I'm concerned. There aren't police colleges or academies in the United States that will teach that. And so it's obviously outside of departmental policy. It's definitely not falling into the range of you're fighting for your life if you've got 4 officers on top of them. I mean, I'll make some exception for, I don't know, maybe there's something there that I don't know about, but on the outset, it looks fucking awful to see him and to know that this gentleman died. And regardless of his background, I don't care if he was a total piece of shit. It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a flying fuck about his color. That's got nothing to do with it. Just to see one human being put their knee on another person's neck, I can tell you right now, that's just a complete dominance move. And what a shitty thing to do. And of course, he's looking right up at the camera. And I can tell you that any cop worth his salt, if he jumped on the back of an arrested party who was in handcuffs and, got on top of him along with 4 other guys. And I mean, you all kind of assume a certain quadrant when you pile in as a police officer to bring, a violent party under restraint and then finally arrest. You have to use force. Sometimes it's a little difficult when you're reaching into, arms and legs, kicking and screaming, wild kind of people. But once you've got your knee on somebody's neck, you would take that
and they're
off.
Handcuffs.
Well, you know what? I can tell you right now that even to put it there by accident, I mean, he looked like he was deer in a headlighting it right at the camera that was videotaping this officer using this tactic that clearly isn't departmentally approved, based on what I've heard. And the officers that were involved were, I understand, immediately dismissed.
Well, he's been arrested now.
And now they've arrested the one for sure. I can tell you that, watching the mayor of Minneapolis speak, I thought there was an unhealthy degree of emphasis placed on the.
Well, he's a liberal. He's a Democrat.
He's a Democrat.
So his first words out of his mouth made it a race issue.
It was. You know what? I listened to the cadence of his speech and I listened to his delivery, and it to me it wasn't Trudeau-like, it was Trudeau-esque to me. Here's this boyish, good-looking mayor, Democratic mayor, liberal mayor of Minneapolis. He gets up there and I mean, hey, you know what? It's a horrible thing. It's a crime. What it looks like, people should be arrested and held accountable for this.
100%.
This is no bullshit. But he gets up there and he says, I can't believe this has happened. To paraphrase, a white a white cop killed a black man. You know, like that's the gist of it.
So,
and there was like a lot of emphasis placed on skin color, I noticed. And, you know, as a mayor of the city, like, I mean, if you want to see it, you know, burnt to the ground, you know, maybe getting people revved up might not be the way to, you know, go ahead.
I was going to say, I haven't seen a ton about this. I have seen and read some material trying to weed through all the BS out there. And
I actually watched a video.
No, me. I'm saying, we're trying to weed through all the fake memes to try and find some actual legit material around it. Now, what is it? Has anything surfaced pointing towards this being a racial issue? Has there anything surfaced around that the cop in question has now been arrested, didn't like blacks or didn't like minorities or anything? Because I haven't seen any, or haven't come across any, or haven't.
Well, if you've seen that fake, I understand.
No, not that, because I know it's fake. Not the hat. I'm talking about from legit, I guess, quote unquote, legit news sources, or ones that can be where you can tend to trust what they're saying.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything. I don't know if you have seen anything that would lead us to believe that this guy, like, you know, he was a KKK member or something like that. So there's a history there of him having negative run-ins with an overabundance of people of minorities, or what? What would lead us to believe that their race has anything to do with this? I haven't seen anything. I don't know if there's anything there. That's what I'm looking for.
You know, I haven't heard anything about that. I have heard, you know, rumor that the officer may have known the party that died and may have worked with them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I think that's kind of weird if that's true. You know, if there's any possibility that the two worked together sometime in the last couple of months and, you know, somehow magically have crossed paths.
I just don't get, because usually it comes out if there's a race issue or it's based on race or the person,
you know,
like, but I haven't come across anything that would lead us to believe that it was purposely done because the gentleman was black.
Well, I can tell you this much. As a police officer, over the years in Hamilton, I mean, I personally, I never saw color, and I can tell you that, you know, confidently. You know, it wasn't the way I was raised, but I can tell you, I learned to respect, you know, people for who they were and to not judge. And, you know, to be a police officer going to calls, you don't get to pick who's at the call.
Well, not
you know,
only
like,
is
it's not like that. Like, you show up and deal with whatever situation you have, and
not only is that the right thing, but at some point that's going to benefit you in the way that you are able to conduct and complete and perform your job.
Oh yeah, you know, I had people pull the race card out a couple of times, and I just kind of looked at them like, I imagine it was probably like that puppy that turns its head sideways, like in disbelief. You know, when people pull that out, I'd be like, you can't be serious. Like, I mean, I don't really care. Like, you know, speeding. I didn't know what color you were when I pulled you over. I just pulled over a speeding car. Like, please don't be like that, because you know what? That's awful. Like
there's no skin color setting for a speed gun, because I've used one before.
Yeah.
All it has is the speed the vehicle's going.
Yeah. So, but you know what though? Back to the mayor. So he gives this speech, and then of course immediately following, you know, that delivery, you know, we see, or we're treated to, it's starting to get really scary looking now. You know, rocks being thrown through the backs of police car windows, and, you know, yanking down of chain link fence, and you're seeing
straight
all these
anarchy.
Yeah, it's crazy, the looting that is going on in Minneapolis right now, and of course
and there's no connection to it. Some jackass of a cop kills a guy, so that means for you to feel better and to feel unoppressed, which is the line, you need to go steal 5 TVs from Best Buy or whatever. Like, come on,
you know,
that's the biggest bunch of shit there is.
You know, it's very sad. I'm sure there's a bunch of people mixed in there. The bad people are probably using them for cover. When you even. You know, over the years, I noticed that, you know, they'd say there was a fight, you know, 100 people fighting. I'd be on my way to a call, you know, with my good friend Carlo, I'd be on the way, and they'd say there's 100 people fighting in the street. 100 people fighting in the street on Barton Street in Ottawa, and that could actually happen. If you're around in the old days of the jockey club,
Barton and Sherman, maybe.
Barton and Sherman, the old coppers used to tell me stories, about how they would go to fight night, and it was definitely something you could set your watch on every week. On Friday night there would be good fights coming out of that area as people drank their sorrows away, it would seem, and came out of it a little bit angry. But going to a call, you don't have the luxury of choosing who's going to be there. Quite honestly, I worked with a lot of amazing men and women in law enforcement. I never saw any clear examples of racism in my time there. And, I saw a lot of people treated with respect. I saw a lot of hardworking frontline cops just slugging it out, with minimum numbers and really doing their best to keep up. And, to paint or characterize all police, to be, abusive would be so terrible.
But that's no different.
Horrible injustice.
That's no different than any other profession.
Oh, no.
Right?
I get it.
Right? Like
well,
you could say
all teachers are assholes.
We're assholes, I know. So, and we were overpaid.
We're going to get Brian Lilly on the show. Brian wants to talk to me. Hey, you want to do an interview with Brian Lilly with me?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I was supposed to talk to him tomorrow. We'll see. If it's raining, then maybe we'll do it. Brian, if you're listening, I'm really looking forward to an interview sometime soon. Definitely have been.
We might have to have a conversation before the microphone gets turned on.
You will be required to wear headgear and boxing gloves
and Kevlar jacket
because we don't do bare knuckle here at the Canadian Gun Vault. We don't want to mess up that pretty face of yours. So I can tell you right now that it's gonna be some good times. I'm really enjoying doing the podcast these days. How about you?
Oh yeah, it's always fun. Yeah. Now, one thing. Okay.
John apologizes he couldn't be here. By the way, John
is he still recovering from that?
Yeah.
And no part of that we did.
Yeah.
We went to
the SS Titanic.
We did about an hour and a half podcast last week about this time on John's property. And it was a great setting. It was his birthday, and that's why you'll never hear any part of it. There was about 14 seconds worth that we could actually air. It was fun. It was super entertaining.
It was
for us.
It was.
But we can't air the vast majority of what was
that's
spoken.
It's exactly why we threw the chip directly in the firearm. This is the new chip.
We're going to keep it for the archives.
We weren't going to keep that one for the archives, but we had a great time. John, apologized he couldn't be here. He's going to be on the next one though. I want to get Big Nick Webley guy.
Pelly.
Yeah, he's due.
I haven't seen Pelly for a while.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make that happen. I really do enjoy doing these podcasts.
Oh, it's absolutely, it's fun. Now,
good times.
The one thing is though, and I always think about it afterwards, and it's I hope we don't bore people because it seems like we're always talking about not the same thing necessarily, but whatever's going on in the news, which I understand. We kind of need to sometimes, but. Like if there's stuff out there that people want us to discuss or like to hear us to discuss, tell us.
Yeah.
Please, like send it. Bless you.
That's the COVID.
My God.
Is that you, Rona?
Put a mask on.
You know what?
Wrap the beach towel around your face.
I got caught. I got caught in the rain earlier.
Wait, I'm gonna go.
In a t-shirt.
I'm gonna go get my weed sprayer full of hand sanitizer and blast you.
You know what?
Wait a minute.
I went into Costco.
Hold on. I'm gonna take care of that COVID in 1 second.
Get out of here. You know what? Put that thing. I don't know what you're getting, but I don't care. Don't bring it back in here. You know what? I don't want that cattle prod in here. Coach Nick out on the ranch. You know what?
This is the only.
Oh, get out! I hate that thing.
That's
you know what?
The only cure for COVID.
All right, you know what? Listen. All right, to everybody listening, if you ever hear that sound, it means that you better move. In policing, the use of conducted energy weapons is not an experience on the wrong end that you will enjoy. To everybody out there that decides to, protest, get rowdy, police have equipment to deal with combative and violent people. Don't be mistaken for one of those. Yeah.
But yeah, also, so to finish if there's anybody that wants something specific discussed, let us know ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, either have sent a DM to Mark or myself, or leave a comment on the YouTube page about topics. And, if we need to research it, we'll do a little bit of research and happy to talk about it. It's like, it's kind of, we appreciate the people that tune in and listen in on a weekly basis and download the podcast when they're driving to work or if they're working in the garden. But we want, just as much as we like talking about the things that interest us, we just as equally like to talk about the things that interest you and that you would like to hear about as well. So, by all means.
Okay, well, you know what? Moving on to our last topic for the evening, because I think this was an important one. I managed to get myself into Costco the other day with Dave. Okay, and I
heard this already. This is good.
I immediately, walked into Costco. I had been prepared. Somebody told me that you were going to have to wear a mask in Costco.
Some places, I guess, yeah.
All right, that you're required to wear a mask. So, I walk in to Costco and I'm already putting on my mask, and I'm standing,
Did you have a hole cut in the front of it like some people do so they can breathe?
So they can breathe. It's so honestly, it's like.
So are we wearing masks now? Because it seems like every 3 days it changes.
At first the World Health Organization said there was very little to no chance that we were going to get it, and then masks weren't necessary. Now I
think they flip-flop 4 times on regular masks and twice on the cloth masks. Apparently cloth masks are okay now.
You know what?
They didn't used to be okay. So it's like, anyways,
Costco. They're monkeying around maybe with the comfort levels by relaxing things a little bit. I don't like the idea of being told I can't shop for my food if I don't have a mask on. Honestly, it left a bad taste in my mouth, especially when the numbers and the results being put forward by the CDC indicate that it's got a fatality rate that is so low, so much lower than they projected. And I mean, and first of all, I want to get it right out there. I'm not saying that there's no disease. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying that there is a very vulnerable portion of our population in our elderly and the people that are immune compromised. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. However, the numbers would seem to indicate that it is somewhere in the neighborhood of, 35 to 45 less lethal than a common flu.
There's some kind of flu floating around for sure, but I don't believe for a second it hasn't been overblown. I look at that mask now as just a psychological control tactic.
It's honestly, it's absolutely stupid.
It's engineered fear. Oh my God, I haven't got a mask. I'm going to die.
You're being told you can't. And I mean, I had my conversations with people while I was there. It was interesting seeing people be spaced out, with the X's on the ground. I see everywhere I go now. And you know what? And I have no problems at all maintaining a healthy distance and, respecting people's space. I like to fuck around. I'm one of those guys that'll actually put my foot off the X.
Or start coughing behind
No, see, I don't do that to people.
Fake sneeze?
Fake sneeze? That's not cool at all. No, you know what? But I'm in the line at the post office. I get a total charge out of talking to people because you know what? You'd be amazed how many people you'll find out there that absolutely believe that it's ridiculous.
But they don't want to say anything because everybody's been socially engineered to think that you're some kind of weirdo if you don't think that there is a flu going around, or if you don't wear a mask or something. It's ridiculous.
You can see people, light up when you start to engage in conversation that starts off with how you survive in the Corona season, and ends with them looking at you saying, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's like, it's just, the problem is that everybody's probably going to get it. From what I'm hearing, it's very contagious, but the fatality rate is so low that, and so many people are asymptomatic. And I think what they're learning now is it was here months before we knew it was, or before they made the announcement at least.
There's tons of people that are asymptomatic during the flu season as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Right? And I don't believe that, wrapping everybody up in bubble wrap is going to make things any better. Our immune system is very dependent, from what I understand.
That's what the immune system does. That's the job of the immune system.
So why you would externally try and create what would become naturally a deficiency in your immune system? If you're constantly
because then. Let's put the tinfoil hat on, because then we need to take the vaccine from Bill Gates. Oh
God, the vaccine! I loved it right from the very beginning. We didn't even know what this fucking thing was yet. Corona had just come in, and you know what? It wasn't long before Justin Trudeau came out of his cuckoo clock and said, we won't go back to normal. This is the new normal until we develop a vaccine. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. It's a little early to start talking about that, isn't it? Like, we don't even know what's going on yet.
Globalists planting the seed.
Well, you know what? I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of funny that we would jump to like, not a cure. Like, there's going to be a vaccine. It's not a cure. What's he talking about? Like, I mean, we just found out that there may be a virus that, could jump from Wuhan to here. And of course, they let the international flights keep flooding in.
Still.
Nobody's being quarantined to, depending on how much of a stink people raise, asking people to stick around and, for a little bit or, self-impose quarantine for 14 days, which, I mean, you just can't trust. I mean, like the idea that you would allow, a virus to jump across an ocean. Like it didn't make any sense. Like, bring Canadians home. I get it. There are people over there that got to come back.
They're Canadian nationals. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? Make allowances for that. Bring them back on, as many plane loads as you can all at once. And then, quarantine them for the 14 days. Make sure they're clear. It could potentially be a bad virus. And, it does have a fatality rate. At the end of the day, it could kill you. I mean, like, I could sit there and say that, 0.00134% isn't much. It's not much unless you're the person that's dying, in which case it actually is just, awful. The idea that it's killing our seniors, and it's running through, old age homes, it's really disturbing. To see the state of affairs of some of these places. I mean, I definitely,
when
been to a few.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't watch much political TV coverage this week, but I did watch a little bit the other day when Doug Ford was up there, talking about the inquiry and the results from the Canadian military going in for that 3 week or whatever it was, 2-3 week assessment. Mm. And some of the stuff they were finding, conditions were deplorable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see that they're going to be doing an investigation, because based on that, it's clear that there's a huge issue, especially in the for-profit long-term care facilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and of course, then there's Andrea Horwath comes out and always has something negative to say, and maybe, Andrea, take the hint. There's a reason that you've never been elected the leader. Okay, so because all you do is point your finger, sit on the fence, and say what everybody else does wrong. Okay, so again, in classic Andrea Horwath fashion, saying that that it's not good enough because it's not an independent study or something like that, blaming Ford for the conditions. Listen, if it's something that is province-wide systemically and it's an issue that was there before Ford got in there. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. That didn't just decline into the state that it's in since Ford's been in power. So, let's call a spade here, right? Does something need to be done? Absolutely. He's going to do something about it, sure. Will that change? Hopefully, I'm sure there's going to be some recommendations come out of it, and they'll be implemented day one, right? But like, it's again, it's a pandemic, and I understand that you're not a member of the same political party, Andrea. But like, honestly, give it a rest. I'm tired of looking at your face complain. I really am, right? You've got other issues way closer to home about people in your family that tend to post pictures online that maybe they shouldn't, post. Worry about that.
Yeah.
And maybe worry about putting yourself in a position where you actually do something where you are an electable official.
I got to tell you, seeing Andrea Horwath speak is never a pleasant experience for me. And to know she's from my hometown really sucks.
Yeah.
She's from H-Town. Like, you know what? It's like, oh, God, no. Really? I wish there was
we got enough problems.
You know what? And if it wasn't bad enough that Andrea was from Hamilton... But then I also find out that Catherine McKenna is from the West Mountain.
She wasn't the same high school I did.
No.
She was 4 years behind me.
Oh, dude.
When I saw her for the first time, and this whole thing about a couple years ago, whenever it was about Climb Up Barbie, I couldn't nail it. But I'm looking at her on TV, and I'm like, I know, like, why does she look so familiar?
Oh, God.
And it took me a long time to figure it out.
How could you forget her?
And
how could you?
Because it's only been like 34 years.
Shame on.
Well, I didn't hang out with her. She was like 4 years behind me or something.
Oh, okay.
I was like grade 13. She was like grade 10. Wow. And I'm like, and finally, Donna, I'm like, I think I went to high school with her. So lo and behold, I do a Google search for her bio.
Yeah.
And it listed St. Mary's High School. I'm like, are you kidding me? One of the biggest clowns on federal politics, and I had to go to high school with. And I did not hang out with her, for the record.
I was just going to ask that. Okay. And then, you know what? I wanted to say this too about your commentary regarding the state of affairs in some of the old age homes. I got to tell you, even I had my experience. And of course, it was never taking care of one of my grandparents. The two places that took care of my grandparents were absolutely fantastic. They were amazing places.
St. Joe's Villa?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
and they still have a great reputation.
Yeah, they got a great reputation, and they're really terrific and patient people. But, you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but back in 2007, you know, I had my run-in in a bad way with a senior's home. I was out in Huntsville.
Did they chase you down in their walkers?
No. But there was a fire at a.
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, there was a fire at a converted hotel, or motel rather, and it had been converted into a senior's home. And
this was just kind of a coincidental thing that you happened upon, isn't it?
Yeah. I stumbled on this fire. And, of course, you know, I was with somebody that I hadn't worked with before, and we pulled into the lot really fast. It was going really good. And, you know, you could tell that it was, you know, a form of residence for somebody. Like it had, you know, some activity and lights on. And so, you know, we pulled in, and of course, none of the fire alarms are going off and none of the sprinkler systems are activated.
Fantastic.
And I'll never forget busting.
Sounds like student housing in university.
Yeah, you know, I'll never forget coming through those doors like a shot and being treated to the sound of a monitor going beep, beep. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, there's no fire alarms going off. Like, this place was like going up. Like, on the one wing of the place was completely engulfed in flames, and there was like nothing happening inside. And it was late. And so, you know, I you know, at that moment, I was pretty disappointed with the level of fire safety. You know, the place was rated for, and you know, we got people out. But you know, there was an inquest, and I never heard another thing about it. Like, the whole place burnt to the ground, and they actually brought us in for questioning about what we saw when we got there. But I'm not sure what happened to that particular senior's home. Or the investigation into the fire at that place. But it was, you know, quite the experience. And I can tell you right now that, you know, it's inexcusable to believe for one moment that the fire alarms wouldn't work, you know, while you're sleeping, especially. You know, I'd love to know the outcome of that particular investigation. I'm going to have to check into that. It's been a long time since I've thought about that sort of thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's from my past life.
Well, something similar to that happened not too long ago near McMaster University, and a young woman and her small child died.
Oh, really?
Because there was no working smoke alarms or something in there, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so,
for a little while there, I refused to read the news. Now, of course, I'm forced to read it nonstop.
I have to force myself to avoid it.
You know what? I can't. I don't have the luxury. I have to look at it. Some days I feel like I can't watch anymore. It's like it's gotten so bad. Just when you think it couldn't possibly get any worse, you know. Cue the rabid zombie squirrels with flamethrowers.
All the 2020 memes, man, they just keep coming.
You know what? I got to tell you, man, some people have come up with some fantastic ones.
Oh yeah, they have.
Yeah, it's really been a treat. Anyway, you know what? Let's call it a day. I'm gonna have me another cup of coffee and maybe finish me off another piece of chicken.
How's your system right now?
You know what? So far so good.
Is your colon screaming at you?
I'm gonna walk it off. I'm gonna make my way back and forth here for a little bit and see how my stomach's feeling before I delve into one more.
You're not going to go to my bathroom and purge before you go, are you?
No. You know what? I'm excited about the idea of
getting out shooting. I've got a couple of things that I've been wanting to do. Certainly, the COVID season has kept us away from some of our favorite ranges, but we're looking to get back out there. Really excited to see the Hamilton Gun Club open up again. They've done that, and wow, they've really kept the grounds nice.
Dunville's open again. They've been open for about a week or two. No guests, unfortunately, but they're open.
Most places are looking at a no guest policy, which really sucks right now because, that would be nice to see people getting out there and seeing what it is that we love as a firearm community.
Introducing friends.
Yeah, if you've got some property where it's safe and legal to discharge your firearm and show some friends how to shoot and do so safely, I encourage everybody to get people out.
And give us a call. Especially if you have private property.
Yeah.
Let us know.
All right, folks. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Coach Nick, thank you so much for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
All right, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and on Instagram. And as always, Canada, don't forget to shoot straight. Stay safe.